I think, first of all, after decades of theoretical and academic discussion, it's important to remind ourselves that climate change is here. It's happening now, it's happening in developing countries, and it simply brings a greater sense of urgency to everything we do. I cannot think of a single area that we are working in, whether it's rural development, agriculture, migration, any of these areas are affected by climate change, and it simply adds a greater sense of urgency to what we do. Let's also remind ourselves that Europe is also affected by climate change. So this is not a policy that has been developed for the purpose of servicing the rest of the world. It is a global issue. So Europe has a share of responsibility in how the problem came about. It certainly also has the knowledge and the interest in contributing to the solution. If you turn this crisis into an opportunity, the upside in terms of green economy and jobs that could be created in Europe is quite significant. So Europe has every interest in being at the forefront of dealing with climate change. Well, first of all, of course, it was a commitment taken at the Copenhagen conference that we would stand by the least developed countries and the small island development states in providing finance, fast-track financing to deal with climate change. So it's a question of honoring the pledges that have been made. But secondly, we also thought that this is a policy that is linked to a very clear EU negotiation position, and so it makes sense to attack it at European level rather than trying to assist developing countries in a bilateral manner, member state by member state. The European flag is on the problem and should be on the solution. Well, this is absolutely essential. Let's remind ourselves, this is an alliance. It's an issue where if somebody succeeds in doing well, that benefits everybody else. We're talking about an issue that if your neighbor is successful in addressing it, it helps you. An event like this one brings together all the successes and all the failures that we learn from each other and collectively find the best way of dealing with climate change. So that is obviously the knowledge management part of it. There is also, of course, feedback to the Commission on how we improve the programming of the future, and we got very valuable insight into how our partners had appreciated what has been done, but also suggested things that we should slightly change for the future. And finally, I would say all of this needs to lead to a converging perception of what works and what doesn't, and what is important and what isn't. All of that will converge towards the negotiations in Doha when we are looking for the world a binding agreement on climate change. So if we can agree on the analysis in an alliance like this one, hopefully we will see that reflected when we come to negotiate the future binding agreement. So the message from the European Union to its partners in this alliance is also, look, we work together on the substance. Let's not find ourselves on opposites at the negotiating table when we come to the Doha discussions.